Problem and Its Solutions by Jaden Shaw, Jonathan Chavez, and Dylan Nakamura. Nuclear energy, an overview. Climate change is set to cause a lot of damage if left unwatched, and people are looking for a green energy source. Nuclear energy is just that. According to Our World in Data, nuclear energy produces minimal greenhouse gases during operation, making it a relatively clean source of energy. According to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, uranium-235 atoms can split by neutrons, which releases energy through the process of nuclear fission. Nuclear power plants use fuel made of these atoms to create chain reactions, generating heat to turn a turbine. This process only releases water vapor into the atmosphere, making nuclear energy a zero carbon emission energy source. However, there are many factors that contribute to the controversy surrounding nuclear energy. One of the major disadvantages is the generation of waste that is very toxic and must be held in a secure location for an extended length of time. Another possible hazard with nuclear energy is the possibility of a catastrophic meltdown, which can eradicate entire communities. Finally, nuclear power plants rely on uranium, a toxic, non-renewable, cancer-causing material that is hazardous to the environment. The biggest problem imposed on nuclear power is the public has a limited perspective on the topic. According to Anne Sophie Hacklin, an engineer at the Jean Nicod Institute, in many countries, the population is much more ambivalent about nuclear energy and tends to overestimate the risks of nuclear accidents compared to other types of disasters. Nuclear meltdowns are seen as a major issue with the whole fission cycle. However, these accidents are rare and caused by human error, not by the cycle itself. According to Dr. Marcus Sauge, a senior director in the expert services practice, one of the biggest nuclear accidents in the world, Chernobyl, was caused by 2 stages of human failure. Overall, the public's perception of nuclear fission is the biggest hindrance to its widespread success.
Solution 1, education at a young age. First off, education at a young age is important for research of nuclear energy for several reasons. For one, it builds a strong foundation. Strong foundations at a young age can help bring us in basic sciences such as physics, chemistry, and mathematics are essential for understanding the properties underlying nuclear energy. Secondly, it encourages critical thinking skills. Developing critical thinking skills is essential for conducting research. For once, the ability to analyze complex data and draw logical conclusions are crucial in the field of nuclear research. Thirdly, it encourages long-term interest. Early exposure to the field of nuclear energy can help students develop a long-term interest in the field, which can lead to a career in nuclear energy, according to the University of Illinois. The cycle of learning begins with an extended period of engagement where students explore the selected phenomena and materials, experiencing what they are and can do, wondering about them, raising questions, and sharing ideas. Thirdly, it addresses future needs. As the world's population grows and energy demands increase, there is a need to innovate and sustain energy solutions. Research in nuclear energy can help address these needs, and early education can play a crucial role in preparing the next generation of scientists and engineers for this task. However, there are some caveats to this solution. It's not realistic to expect that all schools will accept nuclear energy. Therefore, many schools will fight this bill, and many parents would switch to homeschooling, thereby circumventing the entirety of nuclear energy. And secondly, we can't predict the future. So if we can't predict the future, and nuclear and climate change would get solved, so to speak, then nuclear energy would only burden the environment with hazardous waste, which can get stored, but there wouldn't be any reason for that.
Solution 2 is advertising on social media. We need an efficient green fuel source because of the damaging effects climate change is known to have on the environment. We also need a source that is efficient enough to power the global energy needs. According to a peer-reviewed writer, John Sackett, on the website EBSCO hosts, the global demand of the 21st century will be 3 times as big, but there is not an efficient enough source to power that source. Efficient means a good ratio of waste to energy of the specific source. However, when looking at nuclear energy, it is shown that it is efficient enough. According to Bertrand Wolfe, another peer-reviewed writer on EBSCO, if we limit our planning to proven reliable technology with adequate fuel supplies and low environmental risks that we know can meet the world's energy needs in the 21st century, we must focus on nuclear power. But the big question is, how do we communicate this much information to a wide audience in a quick time span? And the answer is social media. Social media is a good solution because it gives people a good chance to consider why nuclear fission would be such a good source. And it's great at helping people remember, as constant advertising on social media encourages repetition, which is more likely to get people to remember its benefits. Also, it reaches a wide audience and is therefore accessible to many people. According to Our World in Data, this graph shows that people ages 25 to 29 years old use social media, and these are the same age range which would vote on making nuclear energy more prevalent in today's society. Our World in Data is a reputable source with accurate information that has been cited in many scientific journals and research papers. However, there are lots of disadvantages to using social media. For example, to do the amount of advertising where it would make a difference in people's opinion on nuclear energy, it would cost a lot to advertise, and the ads could just be skipped or ignored by people, not having much of an effect either way. But the biggest issue is that it could be seen as disinformation, and disinformation of nuclear energy could also spread throughout the internet. According to Lisa Anderson, a peer-reviewed writer of EBSCO, the new information and communication technologies, which were once thought to destined to free civil society and strengthen public sphere, were also tremendously effective tools of deception and tyranny, as armies of bots and trolls, motivated by money, power, and sheer perversity, post fake news and fake news outlets. Social media's accessibility to a wide audience could also be its downfall, and why it's not as good of a source as we originally thought. The final verdict. Our final verdict is that education is a better solution, and this is for many reasons. First of all, it allows students to understand the subject more and gives them more opportunity to consider the source and have a wide impact, as many people, including myself, who have studied nuclear energy in this class have had a change of heart about it and have considered using it as a source. As well, it is more realistic and cheap to implement within the curriculum, as it's already happening right now, and it would cost less than the amount of advertising that would need on social media. Overall, nuclear energy is very important, and the best way to communicate this information and get rid of public fears that it is bad is through education. Here are our sources. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start with Jaden. Jaden, could you tell me how Jonathan's research helped with the presentation?
Yeah, so Jonathan's research was that how nuclear energy can be seen in a militaristic perspective, which is really dangerous, how people could target that for attacks. And we used his thinking in figuring the problem by saying that people are scared of nuclear meltdowns due to attacks.
Okay, thank you. And Jonathan, reflecting on both Jaden's and Dylan's work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
Well, I believe that Jaden's topic of how nuclear energy is bad for the environment, it was more impacting to me than Dylan's, mostly because it pinpoint located where exactly the problem is, and that it affects the environment and our health, which wouldn't be good if we continue going on it not very well. So as long as we can keep it steady and as long as we can store nuclear energy well, then we'll be fine, which was something that Jaden helped me with.
Okay, and Dylan, describe an argument from one of your peers' reports that made you think differently about your team's solution or conclusion.
Well, the argument that Jonathan made is that nuclear energy could be used for a wide variety of weapons. And this changed my argument because me personally, I'm very afraid of the prospect of terrorist attacks. And the fact that nuclear waste, which is something that we see and can disregard, can be used as weapons kind of scared me. And then as I did more research into my my topic, I realized the good benefits that nuclear energy could have with climate change. And this began to change my perspective and overall form the argument, because I realized that the public's perception was the biggest issue and the biggest hindrance to why we could use nuclear energy as a widespread fuel.
Thank you. Okay, so, you guys ready? You are, but you can't, you shouldn't respond here. Yeah, you just have to be really quiet. Going in and
I just
out.
want to put the slides together and see how it works.